This news break is brought to you by Hope, the largest selling luxury cigarette.
Good evening. Chief Justice Andres Narvaza has hit back at critics of the Supreme Court's acquittal of Imelda Marcos. The Chief Justice bristled particularly on accusations that justices who voted for the acquittal were Marcos men. Narvaza said those accusations were absolutely unjustifiable. Although he was among the 5 dissenters, Narvaza said it was his belief that justices who acquitted Mrs. Marcos voted with their conscience and according to the provisions of the law. Meanwhile, President Estrada has been given a score of 99.9% by the Chief Justice. The Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry is satisfied with the President's performance so far. Abroad, Japan has apologized for 35 years of brutal rule in South Korea. These and more on the Primecast of NewsWatch. I'm Cathy, Santillan.
This news break is brought to you by Hope, the largest selling luxury cigarette.
Good evening. Our top stories tonight. President Estrada reports to the nation on his first 100 days in office. Chief Justice Andres Narvaza defends the Supreme Court's decision on Imelda Marcos. A former army man is meted the death penalty for a 1994 kidnapping case. Later in the news, we'll have a look at 21 Chinese deportees at the Bureau of Immigration. President Joseph Estrada delivered a short and straightforward report to the nation today on his first 100 days in office. He spoke of Philippine Airlines and what was done to bring it back to life, efforts at economic recovery, and what should be done about the controversial coconut levy funds. Here's more from Arlene Lim.
The ceremony began with the awarding of checks, titles, and certificates to housing beneficiaries, entrepreneurs, and development project organizers, as if to directly stress the administration's pro-poor programs. Then the president opened his half-an-hour speech with his success in preventing the total closure of Philippine Airlines, his first major test.
This was a major test for our administration, not only in dealing with the labor problem in PAL, but also in protecting the larger interests of keeping trade and commerce moving and in preserving jobs for thousands of other businesses dependent on PAL operations.
The president gave credit to his predecessors, former President Corazon Aquino and Fidel Ramos, who restored democracy and instituted reforms which made it possible for him to have a good start. These acknowledgments slammed expectations that he was out to outdo the 2 former leaders. The president then tackled the oft-repeated advantage of the country over other Asian economies besieged by currency crises. He prided himself for having prioritized the housing projects for squatters. The president also said in his desire to clean up the justice system, he had dismissed erring fiscals. But the part that received a resounding applause was his promise that all of the Coco Levy funds will go to the farmers. In closing, the president borrowed the words of U.S. President John F. Kennedy.
All this will not be finished in the first 100 days. Nor will it be finished in the first 1,000 days, nor in the life of this administration, nor perhaps even in our lifetime on this planet. But let us begin.
What is important in the president's 100-day message is that although he may not be able to accomplish the grand task of uplifting the life of the poor, what is important is that the task toward that direction begins now. With George Tamundong and Tony Hinduro, Arlene Lim, RPN News, Malacanang.
The president received a fair rating from the Senate for what he has done since June 30. But senators admitted that 3 months of work could not fully measure what the Estrada administration could do for the nation and the Filipino people. Marigold Habe reports.
In a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, President Joseph Estrada is getting an average rating of 7 to 8 from the senators. Not actually a bad grade considering the difficult times the country is facing with the Asian financial crisis.
I'll give him a 7. I think he's doing very well in the matter of trying to fight poverty in this country.
I give him an 8, considering that you got to realize the type of problems that he encountered in the first 100 days.
Others like the simplicity of his 100-day report this morning, admitting it could be a sign of better things to come from this administration.
I like the message of continuity that he emphasized and the optimism that he expressed. And I think, as he said, let us begin.
This is a learning period, so after 100 days, we expect to see better cued organization.
Opposition Senator Teofisto Gingona, as expected, hit various inconsistencies and lapses in policy statements made by the president and his men in the last 3 months.
This kind of constant inconsistency, it is being perceived as a nation that has no real direction.
Senators Raul Roco and Miriam Santiago are also giving him passing marks of 6, stressing a stronger leadership is needed from the president, who has many power blocks around him. Senate President Marcelo Fernan, for his part, would give the president a high grade.
On all fronts, there's an improvement in everything because now the public is in a better position to understand the accomplishments and achievements.
2 senators, however, say it is too early to judge what this administration has accomplished. Senators Juan Ponce Enrile and Rodolfo Biazon say the president should be given the chance to prove what he can do for at least 1 year. Mary Gulhabera, RPN News, Senate.
The House leadership earlier gave a glowing assessment of the president's performance, but some congressmen criticized the chief executive for having focused on economic bankruptcy. That concentration was seen as a source of discouragement among investors. Congressman Sergio Apostol of the opposition criticized the president for allegedly making a scapegoat of his predecessor. Party list Representative Renato Magtubo and Congressman Oscar Moreno said the president failed to give Congress the proper direction.
I think it's hard to grade a person whose direction, whose focus cannot really be judged well.
I thought he would rather have emphasized on the positive of his 100 days. I still believe that it is not good for the country in the long run to paint a bleak picture.
The president received a near-perfect score for his performance from the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Chief Justice Andres Narvaza rated the president 99.9% during the first 100 days of his administration. Narvaza was all praise for what the president has done in so little time after getting a popular mandate. The head of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry likewise expressed satisfaction with the administration's performance. PCCI President Alberto Fenix had a good observation on the Estrada government.
And he has a clear agenda. That's one thing, I mean, how can you hit a target if you don't even have a clear target? So I think on that basis, this administration has clear targets but clear goals.
I'll give him very high marks. Although I am not a professor. Hindi naman siguro. Nobody is perfect. Maybe.
Militant groups were naturally critical of what the Estrada administration has done so far. In fact, a few activists claimed nothing much had happened over the last 3 months. Alvin Alburo has more.
President Joseph Estrada's first 100 days in office is one big basket of rotten tomatoes as dumped here by militants at the Supreme Court today. The militants' rotten tomatoes signified their indignation over the Supreme Court's acquittal of Imelda Marcos in open defiance of the High Tribunal's ban against protest rallies. They denounced the Supreme Court's alleged failure to uphold judicial independence and alleged lack of fair administration of justice. KPD Chairman Sonia Soto particularly scored President Joseph Estrada's latest stand for a strike ban, which, along with the Supreme Court's latest decisions, were a preview of more repressive impressive things to come. For Soto and the multi-sectoral KPD, Estrada has failed miserably in his first 100 days in office.
Palagay namin kung bibigyan natin ng grado si Presidente Erap Estrada, liban siguro sa nakakatawan niyang tubeless Carabao, bibigyan natin siya ng 100% bagsak all over the nation.
Buklura ng manggagawang Pilipinos, Popoy Lagman, likewise gave Estrada a failing grade for his first 100 days in office.
Dahil kitang-kita naman ang issue dito, yung sinasabi niyang Erap sa mahirap, patunayan niya sa kanyang unang 100 araw. Hindi in terms ng may aangat niya ba ang kabuhayan ng tao, which is impossible.
The Militant Bayan gave Estrada the Squash Award for a failing grade of 70 in his first 100 days. Bayan's Teddy Casino said this early Estrada's pro-poor agenda was all for show. Casino added Estrada is definitely anti-labor and anti-poor while being pro-crony, pro-Marcos, and pro-US.
Dahil sa tingin po namin talagang isang napakalaking failure sa bahagi po ng mga sectors, ng mga inaaping sektor ang naging palakad ni Rehimeng Estrada sa nakaraang 100 araw.
Meanwhile, the man on the street have mixed reactions on the president's performance for his first 100 days in office.
Siguro medial lang. Kasi di ba, hindi naman lahat ng sinabi niya natupad
Passing naman.
Bakit?
Kahit paano, marami na rin siyang nagawa para sa bayan.
Kasi I don't want to judge him this early. So I think he should just do his job. Just pabayaan niya yung mga critics niya, just do what he's supposed to do.
Whether the situation will improve over the next 100 days of the Estrada administration, only time can tell. Alwin Alburo, RPN News, Supreme Court.
Chief Justice Andres Narvaza has come to the defense of his colleagues who voted to acquit former First Lady Imelda Marcos of raft charges. Narvaza described as absolutely unjustified accusations by some quarters that the 8 justices who voted to free Mrs. Marcos from a jail term were Marcos men. Narvaza said he believes his colleagues voted with their conscience and according to provisions of the law. Narvaza was one of 5 justices who voted in the negative.
No, they voted according to the way they saw the case. I disagreed with the majority, as you know. But I can only assume that they voted according to their conscience.
A former Army sergeant was meted the death penalty today for his involvement in the kidnapping of 6 people in Quezon City 4 years ago. 3 of the kidnapped victims were children. Details with Ronnie Azurin.
Finds the accused, Roque Garalde Igad Bilao, guilty beyond reasonable doubt of the crime of kidnapping and serious illegal detention for the purpose of extorting ransom, kidnapping for ransom defined and...
Accused Roque Garalde still managed to smile at the verdict. The accused was the last to be convicted among 3 gang members who kidnapped 13-year-old John and 8-year-old Paulo Bellosillo, their cousin Nino Bellosillo, their nannies Dianita Papito and Johnny Dumagpit, and their driver Antonio Baquera. While the victims were on their way to school, the suspects on board a taxi blocked their path and held them at gunpoint. Garalde detained the victims in Novaliches, Quezon City for 9 days after the ransom was paid. The defunct Presidential Anti-Crime Commission immediately worked on the case, which led to the conviction of Garalde's common-law wife, an accomplice identified as Hilpatrick Hibero in December of 1996. The accused, who was arrested separately, underwent a separate trial. Garalde was also found in possession of various firearms. Judge Diosdado Peralta, however, acquitted the accused on the charges of illegal possession of firearms. But on the kidnapping and serious illegal detention charges, Judge Peralta applied the full force of the law since ransom was involved. The suspect collected almost 500,000 pesos. The judge also ordered Garalde to indemnify the victims.
And to indemnify the parents of the 3 Bellosillo children, the amounts of 500,000 pesos as exemplary damages and 500,000 pesos as moral damages, and Dianita Bibita the amounts of 100,000 pesos as exemplary damages and 100,000 pesos as moral damages, and to pay the amount of 50,000 pesos as attorney's fees.
After he was whisked away, Garalde assailed the decision of the judge. Reporting for RPN News, I'm Ronnie Azurin.
Up ahead, first-termers in Congress complaining of authoritarianism. 137 first-termers in the House of Representatives are up against what they called an emerging authoritarianism in the chamber. They filed a resolution questioning the manner by which congressmen can hold investigations and impeachment proceedings. But Myla Reyes reports that there is an underlying reason behind this move.
Yesterday, the Committee on Trade and Industry, headed by Congressman Marshal Punzalan, was scheduled to hold an investigation into the controversial Coconut Levy Fund. But with one word from House officials, the inquiry was dropped. The reason, a proposed amendment to the House rules now requires the Speaker's go signal before any committee investigation can take place. Congressman Joey Sardes Salceda, administration party member, said,
growing agitation within 137 neophyte, especially within its younger members. The new rules that are being currently amended and processed is tightening, the dynamism of this new group, no?
The neophytes are also taking exception to a proposed amendment to the rules on impeachment. In the past, a resolution signed by 1/3 of the members would suffice. Under the proposal, each one of at least 74 members will be required to subscribe and swear to the complaint before the Secretary General.
Yung tradition of seniority is already imposed in the House. How much more dadagdagan mo pa when you have a tighter rule? And specifically, dalawa po ang naging problema. Unang-una dun sa impeachment. And I think the case in point here is yung Sandoval impeachment resolution, no?
The proposed tightening on impeachment rules come in the wake of the complaint filed against COMELEC commissioners. But Congressman Salceda himself was quick to admit that the underlying reason for the revolt is to force the hands of House leaders to act decisively on the proposed 30 million peso pork barrel for each congressman. Myla Reyes, RPN News.
Senators were told today that the government has already spent some 85 million pesos in the lobbying and bidding for Manila's hosting of the World Expo 2002. The information was given by Tourism Secretary Gemma Cruz Araneta, who caused a stir in the chamber when she claimed that hosting the event will not benefit the tourism industry in any way. Senator Robert Jaworski, reportedly irked by Araneta's remark, abruptly adjourned the hearing. Former Tourism Secretary Mina Gabor, also shocked by Araneta's remark, said she hopes to firm up the funding commitments of private business groups by the end of the year.
The reason that you said...
And we have to go after grants and donations also. And then there are also the sponsorships that probably we can already do pre-selling at this point. No? So all of this we would spell the total financial package.
Two senators suspect a conspiracy between generals and lawyers of the AFP retirement and separation benefit system in the questionable purchase of a property in General Santos City. Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman Aquilino Pimentel and Minority Leader Teofisto Gingona said that they may recommend the prosecution of certain RSBS officials for the two deeds of sale for the 11,000 square meter property. One deed of sale shows the lot was purchased at 3,000 pesos per square meter, while the other shows 10,500 pesos per square meter. Pimentel said he noted a pattern of misuse of the pension funds by RSBS officials.
They should be more candid with their testimony, so we have a basis for excluding them. Kung hindi, we might be compelled to recommend them for prosecution. And that's not a very good prospect. Huh?
Cathay Pacific has confirmed it is interested in buying Philippine Airlines. The airline company's regional manager, Peter Foster, told the news conference that a team from Cathay's head office is now taking a close look at PAL's operations. In the same news conference, PNP Holdings, which acted as a lessor when Cathay took over some of the PAL flights during PAL's closure, belied reports that government money was used for Cathay's operations. Foster could not say yet if negotiations to invest in PAL would push through.
Some analysts and some bankers that is in town and that is taking a very close look at Philippine Airlines with a view to some sort of possible involvement in the future with Philippine Airlines.
This time we had an agreement where we flew first and we talk about the accounting later on. As a matter of fact, we had already our collections. So what was
Major players in the labor conflict that rocked the country's flag carrier traded accusations in today's roundtable forum. ALPAP spokesman Florendo Umali accused the Labor Department of snail-paced action on the conflict. But the ALPAP was blamed by PAL official Avelino Zapanta for the prolonged conflict, saying the pilots were the ones who refused to heed the first call to return to work. Reacting to ALPAP's accusation, Labor Undersecretary Rosalinda Baldos said the Labor Department followed the procedure in resolving the conflict, but that the matter was beyond control. Labor leader Popo Lagman put the blame on President Estrada's alleged anti-organized labor policies. 21 Chinese from mainland China are set to be deported by the Bureau of Immigration. Immigration Commissioner Rufus Rodriguez said this is the first time in the Bureau's history that such a big number of foreigners were offloaded at the airport. The Chinese were arrested at the NAIA for carrying tampered passports. They have been in the country for 3 months and were leaving for Canada when arrested by immigration agents. Rodriguez said the order for the summary deportation was given by the 3-man board of commissioners.
And we apprehended them. Yeah.
What do you think they chose the Philippines as an example?
Well, this is the second time that we have them. Before we got 4 people, 3 from the Republic of China, PROC, and 1 from Burma. And they had also a fake British passport.
2 Makati councilors are strongly opposing the proposed construction of Skyway ramps from the South Superhighway to Omorsolo Street via Pasay Road. Councilors Dean Barbers and Mark Joseph cited legal and technical flaws in registering their opposition to the proposed project. Barbers said the April 21 Council resolution approving the construction of Skyway ramps is null and void because only 8 councilors and not 9, as the city charter requires, approved the resolution. For his part, Joseph said the project would worsen the city's pollution and flood problems as well as adversely affect business activities.
Should coordinate with the local government of the affected city or municipality and all the residents affected. However, this resolution was not given a public hearing.
Well, yung immediately affected dito, yung tinatawag na Barangay Pio del Pilar, no, Barangay San Lorenzo, of course the Don Bosco Parish and the Don Bosco schools, and all of the businesses that are along Amorsolo and Pasay Road and Pasong Tamo.
Shortly, Maynilad's test on its water supply.
Whose car is this? Revolutionary. Keyless entry. Hatchback door. Automatic transmission. Smooth, quiet ride. The TFI engine. It's more than a car.
Stop, stop.
The new Toyota Revo, a way to drive in this planet.
Has anyone seen Zach?
Maynilad Water Services insists that the unclear water supply to Metro Manilans is safe for drinking. Officials of the MWSS concessionaire said the water it supplies has been cleared by independent laboratories from the University of the Philippines, Ateneo University, and the Health Department after conducting separate tests. Maynilad chemists announced that the level of manganese content, which is blamed for the water's brownish color, is going down. Yesterday's average content from Manila's West Service area was at 0.4 milligram. Head chemist Tita Mercaner drank water with 0.5 milligram of manganese to prove it's potable.
It is indicated that it's manganese that is giving this discoloration, and manganese is not harmful to the health. And the dose that is found in our water yesterday is in the range of 0.4 to 0.5, which is within the Philippine National Standard for drinking water.
Health workers have denounced the government's alleged lack of response to the health and economic crisis. They staged a rally at the Health Department this morning to ventilate their sentiment. They cited the Health Department's pronouncement that there was no dengue epidemic, even if the outbreak downed some 20,000 people and killed 359. Dr. Eleanor Hara said there is now a health crisis, and it is a manifestation of the government's failure to deliver basic services. The Alliance of Health Workers called for more substantial budgetary outlay for the social and economic reform programs.
Youth leaders and youth groups were given recognition today for excelling in their respective fields of endeavor. They were awarded the Gawad Galing ng Pilipino in ceremonies at the De La Salle University in Manila. Giving out the awards was the Kabataang Sama-samang Maglilingkod or Kasama. Keynote speaker Senator Francisco Tatad hailed the youths for consistently being in the forefront in the struggle to secure the country's future. Among the individual awardees were Jimmy Borja for music, Elma Muros for sports, and Agamula for celebrity and humanitarian service. On Crime Watch, PNP Traffic Management Group operatives have arrested a former Quezon City policeman with a string of criminal cases. Nabbed in San Fernando, La Union was Leonilo Driz, who is wanted for 16 criminal cases, including 3 cases of carnapping and 2 cases of kidnapping for ransom. In Pasay City, a former actress was arrested on charges of drug pushing. Rowena Behasa, known in the 60s as Rowena Ruiz, was collared during a buy-bust operation at the Ventura compound on M. de la Cruz Street. 95 grams of shabu was seized from her. 2 members of a syndicate faking neuropsychiatric exams and police clearances for security guards were arrested in an entrapment operation in front of Camp Crame. Collared by operatives of the PNP Criminal Investigation and Detection Group were Armando Garcia and Jaime Fernandez. The entrapment operation was set up after 4 victims of the syndicate complained to Police Superintendent Napoleon Estilles of the CIDG NCR office. CIDG Chief Lucas Maraguelo said the syndicate claims to use the non-existent Martin de Porres Psychological Evaluation Center in its illegal operation.
This portion is brought to you by PLDT. Toll-free service opens doors to your business.
The biggest association of Japanese businessmen has embarked on a mission to exchange opinions on issues of interest to Asian governments experiencing economic turmoil. A delegation from the association called Keidanren told a press conference in Makati that there is a need for a deeper understanding of the economic conditions in Asia. Keidanren Chairman Takashi Imai said this can be achieved through discussions on economic policies, financing programs, and APEC undertakings. Keidanren members also want to discuss trends in direct investment and transfer of technology in East Asia. A new strategy has been proposed as an alternative to city development. It focuses on promoting competition and was laid down in a conference organized by the Asian Institute of Management. Dubbed Building Competitive Cities for the 21st Century, the conference pointed out that competition brings out the best in every city and its people. The competitiveness of Davao and Cagayan de Oro cities were assessed during the conference, attended by mayors of the country's cities and their representatives. The Philippine Tour Operators Association will hold the 9th Philippine Travel Mart from November 13 to 15 at SM Mega Mall's Mega Trade Hall. This year's Travel Mart will feature domestic travel service, traditional and new destinations, and the culture and heritage of the country's different regions. Meanwhile, the International Bazaar Foundation has announced the holding of International Bazaar Day on November 14 at the World Trade Center in Pasay City. To be sold are Christmas decorations, gift items, fashion accessories, toys, furniture, and other products manufactured by 388 companies participating in the event. An appreciation in ASEAN currencies, especially the Japanese yen, sparked more upbeat trading in the local bourse today, pushing the index up by 3%. Analysts say the weakening of the U.S. dollar augured well with the banking and property sectors, with borrowing costs going down and buying power improving. The market surged to a 30-point gain at the close as a slowdown in the U.S. economy and subsequent weakening of the U.S. dollar was brought about by hedge funds incurring losses, indicating some problems emerging in the U.S. market.
This portion was brought to you by PLDT. Toll-free service opens doors to your business.
since 1928. Just as our experience of sounds and images has evolved, so has PLDT continued to lead in opening new dimensions in human communication to keep us attuned to the times and closer with each other, regardless of time and distance. PLDT, touching lives.
Abroad, Japan today issued its most thorough apology to date over the 35 years of its brutal rule in South Korea. A pact signed by Prime Minister Keizo Obuchi and South Korean President Kim Dae-jung heralded a new partnership between the two countries. But before looking to the future, the two countries addressed an unpleasant past, Japan's harsh rule from 1910 to 1945 over the Korean peninsula. Obuchi issued his country's most thorough apology for that unpleasant period between Japan and South Korea. U.S. President Bill Clinton has called on House Democrats to follow their conscience when they vote on the impeachment move against him. A vote has been called on the Republicans' plan to hold an open-ended, unrestricted investigation that could range far beyond Clinton's affair with former White House intern Monica Lewinsky. Some of Clinton's party mates are backing the Republican plan, while others are pushing for an alternative that would set the standards for an impeachment inquiry. Many Democrats say the House vote must rise above party politics. Asian finance ministers meeting in Washington are calling on the group of 7 nations to help bolster economic recovery efforts in the region. The Asian officials have been discussing the financial crisis with other delegates to this year's meeting of the International Monetary Fund. Ministers from Asian economies are also pushing for new controls on money moving between countries. They are blaming the wild currency flows out of Asian nations in part for the Asian economic meltdown.
Next, we'll have the weather forecast, entertainment, and sports. Metro Manila will be partly cloudy to cloudy with rain showers or thunderstorms. Partly cloudy skies with isolated rain showers or thunderstorms are expected in Baguio City. Central and southern Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao will be partly cloudy to cloudy with scattered rain showers and thunderstorms. Partly cloudy skies with isolated rain showers or thunderstorms are ahead for the rest of Luzon. Sunrise comes at 5:46, sunset at 5:40. Creations by the top Quezon City-based designers made the 59th anniversary of the Quezon City High Hopes Foundation a glittering affair. The fashion show was held at the Centennial Hall of the Manila Hotel, and no less than 29 designers showed off their creations. In keeping with this year's celebration of the country's Freedom Centennial, the designs were Filipiniana-inspired. Among the designers who lent a special touch to the celebration, led by Councilor Wilma Sarino, were Edgar San Diego, Lito Perez, Randy Ortiz, Rene Salud, and Goli Gorospe.
In sports, Cassius Casas increased his lead to 3 strokes after 3 rounds of the Philip Morris Golf Classic's East Ridge Leg. Casas shot a 2-under par 70 to get closer to winning the title and the order of merit that goes with it. He now has a 54-hole total of 207, 3 strokes better than the aggregate posted by second-running Robert Pactolarin. A 3-way tie developed for 3rd place among early leader Mars Pucay, Dan De Los Santos, and Edwin Sanchez. In Major League Baseball, the Cleveland Indians took the 2nd game of their series to tie the score with the New York Yankees. The Indians got back at the Yankees with a 4-1 victory a day after they lost the opener at 2 against 7.
Another look at the top stories. President Estrada reports to the nation on his first 100 days in office. Chief Justice Andres Narvaza defends the Supreme Court's decision on Imelda Marcos. A former Army man is meted the death penalty for a 1994 kidnapping case. That's it for the Prime Cast of NewsWatch. I'm Cathy Santillan.
I'm Eloriaga.
Thank you for watching. Good night.